The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
It's an amazing story of a Yid who lived in Manchester, in England. He was an older Jew, and he said Kaddish. And he had a very interesting minig in how he said Kaddish. He said it with tremendous hislavus, with tremendous, unusual emotion. When a Talmud Chacham came to that shul, and he witnessed this sight, this elderly Jew saying Kaddish with tremendous emotion, and he asked a number of the daveners there. They said that's been his minig for a number of years, but no one knew why he does that. No, he decided he's going to go over and ask this fellow what's the reason. So he goes over to this elderly gentleman and he says to him, could I possibly ask you why you say your Kaddish with such hislavus and emotion? The man said, let me tell you my story. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted that during World War II, I should end up in all the worst concentration camps. The worst. The things that I saw and witnessed, I can't describe them with my mouth. We lived constantly waiting for the final moment that each one of us would be called to get online and get marched into the crematoriums, to get guests, and then the ovens. No, that personally he said, I was Zeicha at that particular time when everybody was lost, to be mechazik myself in bitachon Hashem. And in that Gehenna, in that turbulent pit, I worked on bitachon, and all today I said over and over and over, Yeshua's Hashem keherifayim. The salvation of Hashem is keherifayim. Ad kedei kach, I was so into saying that pasuk that my friends stopped calling me by my name, and they called me Yeshua's Hashem. What's they call me? Yeshua's Hashem. Hey, Yeshua's Hashem. No. In one of my trips, one of the worst camps, the big day finally came. And we were lined up and we were marched off to the gas chambers. We were one of the last groups in that camp, so we knew exactly what was awaiting us, what to expect. We were under no illusions that we were going to showers or some spa. No, they took us all, lined up, marched us into a room that was connected to the gas chamber. And we were all there. And at the open door, it was a shomer, a Nazi guard was there, a ruthless fellow to make sure none of us tried to escape. And he couldn't wait to get the big order to take us into the gas chambers. And those moments when the dread was in that room, we all knew what was coming. One of my friends, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I look over, and one of my friends is tapping me in the shoulder. And he says to me, "Nu." what do you say now? As if to say to me, no, what did it help you, all of your bitachon in Hashem? In spite of everything, and in spite of what I was facing, I was mechazik myself in bitachon Hashem with all my last strength. And I answered him, B'koil ram, Yeshua's Hashem keheref ayin. That was my mantra, I said over and over. And I also mentioned the Chazal that say, Afilu cherev chada munachas al tzuvarei shel adam, even if a sharp sword is on the neck of a person, al yisyayish min harachamim, don't give up. I finished saying this Chazal. Suddenly, we look at the shomer, and he took out a piece of paper from his pocket, and the piece of paper slipped out of his hands. It was a light piece of paper, and it started to fly around like the derech of pieces of paper. You know, they don't sink to the ground. It was just going along. No. And it didn't go fly into the room. It flew outside the room. No. The Rasha looks at me. I was standing by the door, and he wanted to humiliate me some more. So he says a few choice words. He honored me. He was machabed me to go pick up his piece of paper and bring it back there. And he was watching me with good eyes. I don't escape. No. In those seconds, I was outside of that room. I bent down to pick up the piece of paper, not realizing the doors behind me were automatic doors. And clank, the door shut on me, and I was left outside of that room. It was me and the Nazi. He tried with all his might to pull the door open. He couldn't. It was electric doors. It's, you know. No. The guy was holding on to me for dear life, trying to pull me into some place where I could end my life. But he wasn't matzliach. So, when I saw my second, I ran for my life. And I ran into a woods close by. And he says, till this moment, I hear the words of my friends screaming through that door. Don't forget us. Say Zog Kaddish for uns. Say Kaddish for us. And they went in Mesiras Nefesh to Mekadosh Shem Shemayim. The Hislavos, the excitement that I'm saying the Kaddish is because I'm thinking of all my friends that I left behind. And those friends that I left behind are the ones that I'm having kavanah for, that Hashem's name should be sanctified over their demise.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org